One of the advantages of digital documents is that the space you work with, the layout, in other words, doesn't have to be static. It can be dynamic. It can change based on how the viewer interacts with it. For your final project, you're going to create an interactive PDF in which you will display all the projects you've done so far in COM 317, and you'll also write a brief self-critique about each one. This video takes you through the steps of working with images and buttons in InDesign to make dynamic and interactive layouts. You can adapt this technique into the layouts you create for your final project. For your lab exercise, you're going to create an interactive PDF document that looks something like this. I'll give you the images that you're going to work with already sized and cropped, and that's an important concept here. As you create these interactive PDF documents, you want to prep all of your images in Photoshop and get them to the size and the resolution that you want to actually use in your finished document. You don't want to do a lot of resizing in InDesign, because file size on this overall project is really crucial, and you want to keep the file size really small, so you need to do your image prep ahead of time. In terms of interactivity, you can take something like this that appears to be like a standard static print layout, and then give your viewer some cues as to what they can do with it. So here, you've got this print kind of layout, but it says click on a thumbnail to enlarge, and then click again on the enlarged image to make it disappear. And what you have is something that looks like this. So we click on this thumbnail, and it appears as a larger image. When we're done looking at that, the larger image that's taking up more of the space, we just click on it again and it goes away. Same thing with the second thumbnail and the third thumbnail, and so on. So let's make an interactive PDF. So let's go into InDesign, and we're going to create a new document. And I'm going to create this for web, and I'm going to make it 800 by 600 pixels. That's the size you're going to use for your project 5. In this particular example, I'm going to use 6 columns. You can use however many you want to based on based on your rough layouts and what you think makes the most sense. So we're creating a new document, and here's our blank document that we're going to work with. Okay, to save some time on the video, I've already assembled some of the layout elements that you already know how to do in InDesign. I brought in a headline, caption, brought in our thumbnail images that we're going to be working with, and the background images. These images are already provided for you in the lab assignment in this folder here. The background image is Flamingo Transparent. Notice these are all PSD files. You can bring in PSD files or JPEGs, however you want to do it. On this background image, I placed it, scaled it just a little bit, and then set the transparency to 60%, so it's not a full image, it's more of a background image. This one right here, the top one, is the Harris Hawk thumbnail. The middle one is the Takahe thumbnail. There are only about 300 Takahes left surviving in the world. They're a really, really cool bird. And this one at the bottom is the parrot thumbnail. Each one of these thumbnail images is 113 pixels wide by 115 pixels tall. That's fairly square. I've already sized those for you in Photoshop, so all you have to do is import them, and you shouldn't have to do any resizing on them. Next, I want to bring in my expanded size images, the ones that are going to, where I click here, they're going to display over here in their full size. So to do that, I'm going to go to File, Place. Once again, I've already sized these images ahead of time in Photoshop. I've already created a naming kind of hierarchy so I can find them quickly with a thumbnail, then full size, and so on. So that kind of stuff is important in a project like this where you've got lots of different files. Develop a nomenclature that's going to help you find your files and keep things organized. So we'll start with the Harris Hawk full size, and then place that, and see it's already sized. So all I have to do is kind of drag it into the position where I want it to be. And that's okay. Now we're going to place the second one. That will be the Takahei full size. And drag it into position. Maybe about there. And then finally the third one, which will be the parrot full size. File place or Command D. And that's Parrot in the Rain. And there are the three files that we're going to use in this particular layout. Okay, now we are ready to start creating the interactive features, or the buttons. In this case is what we're going to be doing in InDesign. And so the first thing we want to do is make sure that we're working in the correct workspace. And right now I'm working in the advanced workspace, and what we want to do is be in the interactive for PDF workspace. So we change it to that, and now we see that we've got a different set of panels here, and the one we're going to be working with is called Buttons and Forms. Okay, let's get to what you bought your ticket for, the interactive features. So what we're going to do is click on this Buttons and Forms panel, and you can see that it's actually just not really doing much. Most everything is grayed out, and that's because we have to actually select something first. So let's go over to our first image here, and with our direct selection tool, we're going to click on it, and notice that now we have a few things highlighted. What we're going to do is click on this little button down here that says Convert to Button, the one right by the trash bin. And we click on that, and now this changes this object to a button. I'm going to go ahead and give it a name because we're going to have 6 buttons just on this page, so we need to keep them straight. I'm just going to call this one thumb. And then the next option is what the event is, or where the animation starts, or how the animation starts. And your options are these: click, roll over, roll off, and so on. We're just going to do on click for this particular exercise. We're going to make them all clickable buttons. Okay, so that one's set.